It's early in the morning, another day. We're replacing the rear brake calipers and all four brake pads, front and rear, on everything. I got the Akabonos. I listened to old Codger Kilmer, and that's what he said. I listened to him a long time ago, and he said them, and I put them on the 2000 Camry. They were the best brake pads in the world. Anyway, I think we're all set. Let's give Ginger a cold start. It's pretty cold this morning. Yep, completely frosted up. Everything hasn't run since Saturday. It's now Thursday. Bendix is probably going to stick. Get the door closed a little so cars going by. Let's see. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. All right. Put that up. And we need that. There we go. All right, so I'm heading out to Julio now to get the calipers replaced. Would have wanted to do it myself, but those bolts didn't want to go, and that's about as far as I push it. So I'll let you know what's going on later. Just because she smokes doesn't mean she's brokes. That's just steam, condensation, normal stuff. Shit went from bad to worse, as you might expect. I had to run out. I'm going to tell you the story later, but the mechanic gave me his Chevy van for me to go and get parts, even though I brought the parts I needed. We'll just do a quick startup just because we can. Anyway, just wanted to do that for you. We'll talk later. Well, I'm back home. They're doing work 2 houses down, and I'm recording this outside, so it is what it is. Oh boy, at least it's a nice day. It is warm today. It's like 50 degrees. Edgerty drink, because kind of need that kind. We got a story, folks. Like I said earlier, it went from bad to worse. So I show up to the place about a little after, quarter after 8 or so. Getting there was no picnic because the brakes were not working well at all. I had noticed this because we had to get the car inspected 3 or 4 weeks ago, and that brake pedal was going way down. I knew the front brake pads were definitely worn, and then with this rear shit, it needed brakes. So I ordered the parts. I showed you that earlier. And I head on down, and he's like, all right, I got to move some cars around, and this, that, and the third, and whatever, about 8:30 or so to get started. So the guy starts on the passenger side rear wheel, and I showed the difference in the rotors in the back. So he's like, oh yeah, they're definitely fucked. So okay, so he starts back there, and he gets the caliper off. That side was no problem. I was not present for the other side, I'm going to tell you. So he knocks that off quick, and he goes to put the brake pads on. They don't fit. It turns out Toyota has different brake pads depending if it's a USA built or Japan built vehicle. This is a USA built car in Kentucky. And that is the part I ordered because it stipulated that. And I made sure to select that along with the fronts, along with the calipers, USA made, 2003 Toyota Camry LE V6. 100% says, yes, this part will fit, and yet they didn't. So the guy said there were 2 choices, is the word he used, for brake pads for the rear. So that's the USA and Japanese made. I said, okay, well, what do we do? He says, okay, And he goes in the office. Remember, this is Julio. So I'm standing on the street in Hempstead, New York, which is not a desirable area to be. This is kind of a quiet yet busy block. Busy as in business. It's kind of like an industrial block. And there's a lot of stuff. It's kind of a long block, and there's all kinds of different places, including a place that sells live chickens. Very odd in this area. And in the middle of Hempstead, it's like, where, why there, of all places? Anyhow, he says, okay, you see the McDonald's? Yeah, the red car. Okay, behind is a white van. Here is the key. That was the van that you saw before. Okay. So what do you want me to do? He says, go to AutoZone. So no problem. It's like 2 blocks away. So I get in the van. Now, I don't drive vans, okay? But I can drive pretty much anything. So it didn't have steps on it, so I had to like climb up into this thing. And with my back and everything else, it was not a fun time getting in and out of this van. But anyway, I get in there, and I start it up, and I'm like, okay, it's been 20 years or more since I drove a van. It drives like a car. There's nothing really different about it. It's fine. It worked fine, but he said, when you put the key to unlock the door, just put in this much. You put it all the way, it gets stuck. So just put it in a little and turn. And that's what I did. I put the key in that much, and I just turned it, and it unlocked. That's awesome. So anyway, I did that. And I go over to Advance Auto. I had 2 choices behind the counter. There was a older white guy who was like burnt out, or there was a dark blouse. Guess who's free? So I go up to him and I tell him I need rear brake pads and front rotors. He says, okay, no problem. Let's do one at a time. Good. Break it down. Make it easy for him, because I know this is requiring brain cells, which are definitely in very short supply. So I tell him 2003 Toyota Camry LE V6. He says, okay. Rear brakes. Okay, and he looks them up. I said, do you have Accabono? He says, no, we don't. All we have are the Duralast brand, which is the AutoZone brand. Fuck, what am I going to do? The car... Now, first off, they didn't even put the car on the lift. The guy did all of this on the ground with a jack. That's the kind of place this is, because all of his lifts were taken. There were vehicles up in the air already. So, all right. Anyway, that's clogging up, so he can't pull any of the cars out of there. And the vehicle is in pieces because the wheels are off and everything. And the brakes are off. So time is kind of the essence. All right. Anyway, so rear brakes, no problem. He's got them. They were $2 more than the Accabono ones that I picked up, but they're the AutoZone ones. They were ceramic brake pads at least, and it is the rear, so okay. And front rotors. Gotcha. Okay, let me see. Yep, okay, 31806, and he goes in the back, and they don't have any. So I said, well, what do we do now? He says, well, I might have an alternate. So he looks in the list. He finds this alternate one, They're like 20 bucks more a piece. And the reason I needed rotors is because he showed me the front. The front brake pads were good, but he says, you need rotors, man. Let me show you the rotors, because I saved the old ones. So here are the rotors. Like I said, they're heavy. Great, that's good. So there is a ridge here. A definite ridge. The other side, not too bad. Not too bad. So there's that one. Here. That's good. Just because I can. Here's the other one, the front. Doesn't look too bad. But the back, also ridge. Not good. Definitely not good. And I got the calipers too. Let's take a look at them. Let me readjust the camera here. Let's see. I think that's probably all right. Yeah, it's all juiced up. That's good. Oh, he left me a brake pad. Yeah, I think these are probably not good. That doesn't look right. Probably bad there. So that's what the noise was. That's great. So that's one pad anyway. And let's take a look at the other one here. Just put this down. Here's another pad that's stuck in there, but not too much meat. I don't know, it's kind of hard to see with the sun, but pretty thin. Definitely pretty thin. Hopefully you can see. So yeah, it needed done. I'm surprised because with 52,000 miles, I wouldn't have expected the rears to go out. I'm not used to rear brake disc brakes. All I've ever had in my life were rear drums. Old Clanky had rear drums. I guess on the V6 they put disc brakes in the back. I don't know. Because otherwise the car is pretty much identical. So that is pretty much the deal with that. So I guess they wear more than brake shoes in drum brakes in the back. But anyway, that's those are the parts, so great. And I should be able to return the Akabono pads that were wrong from whence they came. So he says, we have these alternate ones, they're $20 more a piece. I'm like, fine, whatever. I didn't know I was going to need front rotors. Anyway, I buy them, and everything's good. I pay, and I'm kind of in a clusterfuck of not being in a familiar area, not being in a good area, driving a van that's not mine, that I can't really get in and out of too easily. Got to get back there with the parts, so there's like a lot of pressure and everything. Anyway, I buy everything, and now I got to lug all these fucking things back to the van. They're heavy. That's good for my back, right? So I get them to the van. I can't unlock the van while holding them, so I have to put them on the ground and pick them up again, so that's more fun on my back. So great. And anyway, I finally get all the parts. I come back and I use the GPS on the phone to get me back. I know it's only 2 blocks, but just to get me the right way. And it happens that I am passing the shop on the way back, which is good. So that way I could drop the parts, go park his van, and then walk back across 6 lanes, 5 lanes. 5 lanes there on a busy road. So that's good. Anyway, I go, I get the parts, I drop them off, I leave his van parked right in the middle of the fucking street, double parked, because that's all you get there. And he goes and he opens up the rotors and he says, wrong ones. I said, they don't have any others. He's like, all right, go take these back and go to Advanced Auto Parts. So I go back to AutoZone with the rotors. So now I get to carry these back in again, the heavy rotors. So I get to AutoZone and I go in, and it so seems the Dark Blouse is busy now with another customer. Fine. He's at least making believe he's doing his job, so good. I now get the burnt out white guy. I said, these ain't right. He says, okay, calm down. I said, it's all right. I mean, just get me a solution, that's all. So he says, okay, let's look this up the right way. So 03 Toyota Camry LE V6. Got it. These are the ones that you should have. It says we have 2. I said, yeah, but the other guy said you don't have any. He says, okay, let me check. Good, somebody with a pair of eyes. Excellent. So he goes and he looks and he's like, yep, we don't have them. I said, great. Now he looks up the alternate ones that I was given, and he says, yeah, these aren't going to fit. These only fit the SE and the XLE. I said, right, not this car. They have bigger wheels on those, I think, slightly. I think that's why. Anyway, that was the deal. So he says, all right, well, I don't have anything else for you. He shouldn't have sold you these at all. If we don't have what you need, he shouldn't have sold you anything. I said, you're right, but, you know, here we are. He's like, all right, let me return this back to your credit card. So anyway, he pulls up, he scans the receipt, and he calls the guy over. He says, Jermaine. His name is Chris. We're going to call him Jermaine. Come here. Not only did you sell this guy the wrong rotors entirely, but you also only charged him for one. I didn't even realize, because the brake pads also. Otherwise, I would have done the math right quick. But again, between time is of the essence and in a stolen van and, you know, everything else, it kind of, you know, it just went right over my head. I didn't think to go and look at that. I just paid it and left, you know. So anyway, he could only return one, but I gave him the other. I shouldn't have. I told him that. I said, oh, I shouldn't return these. I should go sell them myself now. That way I can make some money. So he wasn't willing to give me a gift card or anything. I didn't pursue it or anything, but that would have been the right thing to do. So it turns out that Jermaine not only sold me the wrong stuff, but let me steal. Inadvertently, you know, it was not my fault. Well, that's good. Anyway, I got out of there. I go back into the van. And Advanced Auto is 2 more blocks away. No problem. I said, I'm going to call them first. So I call, they pick up. Can you hang on? I'm with a customer. Waiting. This is how we advance. That's their hold music. And it's terrible, and I'm waiting, and it wasn't long. It was a minute and a half or 2 minutes. Yeah, I need front brake rotors for 2003. Okay, yeah, we got them. Okay, LEV6. Yes. He said, do you have rear disc or rear drum brakes? I said, no, these are front rotors. He says, yes, I understand, but I need to know which the rear are to get the listing. And he says, yes, we have them. I said, can you please physically check? He says, we have 8 of them. There should not be any problem. I said, all right, fair enough. It's 2 blocks away. So I'm in the van. I go over there, and I get the brake rotors for the front, and they were about the same price as AutoZone for the ones that I needed, so that saved 40 bucks. Turns out I happen to have a gift card from a clusterfuck known as the Buick and the Carbonator when I tried to get a replacement from Advance, and it was totally wrong and didn't fit. Yeah. So I ended up with a gift card somehow, and I had $4 left on that gift card, so I got to use that up. Good. I wasn't going to use it for anything else because I don't go to Advance. There's not one that nearby here. AutoZone is practically around the corner here. Literally speaking, it's really a quick drive. Anyway, I get the rotors. Now I got to schlep those through the parking lot again to the van, put them on the ground, get them in the van, get myself in the van, and go back. And that was where I recorded that clip near that McDonald's after I parked the mechanic's rig. I also came back passing by the shop, so I dropped the rotors off and then took the van back to park it, and then crossed 5 lanes of traffic on a busy road. Great. Almost got run over twice, but that's fine. No problem. So good. I get back to the shop. Now he's got all the parts he needs. And time is ticking by. Things are happening. The guy's working on it. He's replaced the rear calipers already. He has replaced the rear brake pads. And they were just finishing up bleeding that because you have to bleed it after. So he's got that done, and now he's working on the front. And basically, he gets one of the front ones done, and then he says, I said to him, turn your impact gun down. This Spanish is no translato. It doesn't translate. Hey, Paco! Mutters something in Spanish to him. He says, oh, what are you trying to tell him? I said, dial the gun down. The lug nuts are 76 foot-pounds. And, 76 foot-pound. And the guy's like, oh, all right. So he goes and he just gives them a couple little ooga-doogas with the impact gun. The other guy, Paco, ran off and he got a torque wrench and he goes to hand it to him, and basically he looked at him like, those are for pussies. So anyway, I got to retorque the lug nuts on all 4 wheels, so that's fun. Meanwhile, a character from Fat Albert shows up, because that's the kind of town this is. We've been through this before. I told the guy also that the 2000 Camry that he did the rear struts on rather. I said 2 months later they T-boned it, destroyed. He says, oh. And I said, my wife was out of work for a year. He says, a year? Oh, is she okay? I said, yes, everything's okay. So anyway, that was that. And he finishes up the fronts and he does that. Meanwhile, a character from Fat Albert shows up. He was another dark blouse. He had a vest on. The vest had like a diamond pattern pleated kind of looking vest. Sharp looking guy. And he had sunglasses that were just round. You know, the lenses were just perfect circles. And he's got a Lexus, and I don't remember the model, but it's an older-ish one, and it's the one with the V8. So he had showed up while I was parking the van or something like that, and the guy who I deal with was looking at his car, and he hooked his scan tool up. He got some sort of light or something come on, and he looks and he says, "Oh, you're low on oil." So I guess that model has a low oil sensor or something. And the shit was like easily a quart low. And he said, "You no coolant. You need agua." So he's like, "I don't want nobody but you touching my car." Well, and then he starts talking about how warm it is out and stuff, and global warming and this and that. So I'm not getting involved in the conversation, but I kind of smiled and nodded. And he said, "This is now the second year in a row we don't have any snow." I said, "Yeah, I remember." And he's like, "Yeah, that's fucked up, I know that our great-great-great-grandchildren are going to be the ones to pay for this, but even so, the global warming," and he goes on with this shit, whatever. So basically, he said to the guy, "Come back every month for me to put oil and coolant in this thing." But fortunately, he didn't do any damage, and the guy left while I'm still waiting, and they're working on my car. So the guy goes to leave. He started this thing up. Man, did that thing run fucking smooth. Holy shit. That was so smooth. Damn. Wow. I mean, it really was impressive. Anyway, a little time later goes by, and he says, "Okay, all done." So, in the end, he charged me $320. That was rear calipers and rear pads, front rotors and front pads. I think that's pretty reasonable. I was there for about 2.5 hours, all told, 2.5 to 3, somewhere in there. And there was some downtime, I'm sure, while I was gone getting parts and that. So definitely reasonable. He did me a good turn, and it's done. Why the rear brakes, the rear rotors were not bad, I don't know. But it sounded awful back there. And that's why the title of this video is "Stops on a Dime and Gives You 9 cents change." That's a line from Bill Cosby back in the day. And anyway, the car definitely does. It stops excellent now, and the brake pedal only goes down, a bit where it's supposed to. So it's all done and over with. But what a clusterfuck. The reason I keep going to this place is because A, he lets me bring my own parts. So I get to put the parts on that I want on the car rather than what he can get cheap and mark up for me. And him lending me his van to go and get parts twice for all of this shit, that was really interesting. The most fucked up part about this is right across that 5-lane road is a Pep Boys, another auto parts store. And in case you're saying, O'Reilly, 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 we don't have them here. But I think he's gotten burned too many times by Pep Boys, so he just doesn't even deal with them. But he lent me his van, and that is the second time that's happened that a mechanic has loaned me his car of some kind to go get parts. That was an old war story I told. I'll leave a link to that down in the prescription. And other than that, that's going to wrap it up. Ginger's fixed. Thank fuck, it's over and done with. The price was definitely reasonable for all of the clusterfuckedness. And it's over and done with, so that's that. Anyway, that's going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure you click like, make sure you click subscribe, and take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.